So our final presentation this afternoon is one that I know many of you look forward to. So we're now going to hear an update about the ASME B30 standards activities from the new Vice Chair of the ASME B30 Committee, Thom Sicklesteel. Thom is the CEO of the National Commission for the Certification Crane Operator, CCO, as all of you I'm sure are aware. But he is also now the Vice Chair of the ASME B30 Committee, a voting member of ASME B30.29, and an alternate on B30.5. He serves on the boards of 8 other companies and associations. Thom has also served as a subject matter expert for the NCCCO Foundation's Crane Type Advisory Committee. Prior to joining CCO, Thom served as a general manager for Levitt Cranes USA, branch manager for Barnhart Crane and Rigging, as well as president of Sicklesteel Cranes. Under his leadership, SCI won multiple national regional safety awards. He was a stakeholder for the Washington State Crane Administrative Code Committee and Select Committee. Thom has served as a subject matter expert for Washington Crane Certifier Exam, Construction Hoist Exam, as well as the NCCCO Lift Director Exam and Crane Type Advisory Group. So we're excited to have Thom here today to share with us the latest about ASME. Thank you, Thom.
Thank you. Well, I'm all between you and dinner, so we'll try to make this this quick, but it's really important stuff that's going on. I'm just going to make one comment on the alliance. For me, I'm real excited about having an alliance with OSHA and the foundation. For me, it really gets down to some of the stuff that OSHA discovers during accidents. How do we get that communicated out? I'll give you a great example. When a shackle fails and it's maybe an imported shackle, and there's a concern about what does that look like, how does that get out to our industry? And so we'll be able to take OSHA information like that and get it out to the industry a lot quicker. So real excited about that. Anyway, let me jump into ASME. Here's the magical list. It's also the eye exam for those of you in the back about all the different ASME B30 standards. OSHA updates once every generation, and ASME updates once every 3 to 5 years, depending on the standards. You can see all the years on there. The reason I listed the years is so you know what the most current standard is, because that's important. Standards update. When they do update, it's material updates, meaning that there's important items that they've changed. And you can see there's a couple back in 2019, one in 2015, which I'll talk about, but all the rest are pretty current in the 20s and that sort of stuff. So I wanted to specifically not go through all of them, but highlight some of the ones here in white, which makes it even harder to see for those in the back. But those are the ones that we'll be talking about a little bit today, and walking through some of the changes that have occurred and that sort of thing. So just to explain a little bit about the ASME process, the committee, the subcommittee in and of itself, the different chapters, go through and they get language approved. And it goes through the committee level, then it goes through the main committee level. That stuff gets held until the publication gets formed. And so when I speak about changes that are coming, I know that they've already passed the subcommittee level, they've passed the main committee level, and they're awaiting publication. So that's what we'll be talking about today. So here's the ones that have been published in 2021, and you'll see here, B30.5 and all the others. It's interesting that those were just happened in 2021. I will say in many training manuals, I've seen 2007 in some, and 2018 in a lot. B30.5 updates pretty frequently. Now, I will tell you also that as we get further away from OSHA's deadline in 2018, all the changes that happened then, ASME will continue to push the bar a little bit further each time. And as they do that, it's really important to stay up to speed. Whenever things get published, it's effective a year later. And it can get enforced that way as an industry safety standard. So you can see in 2022, there was a couple. In 2023, this is the news for today. The articulating cranes got finally released in 2023. It was held up for 4 years due to appeals that were going on in the standard, and that has finally been released. We have pending ones for 2023, and then you can see for 2024. And the reason I put these in here is because if we're writing questions and we're starting to write exams, we get like a 1-year notice, right, on the early stuff before it becomes into effect. But it's important to know when your standard, especially if you're on an exam writing committee, to know when your standard is up for renewal. So in 2024, we have tower cranes, mobile cranes, slings, hooks, below the hook, material placement systems, which are concrete pump trucks, as well as ropes. I think that might cover almost every single committee on what's going to go on. So even though we have a lot of stuff that we've been doing on item writing, we're going to have this whole new slew of things that get published in 2024. Unfortunately, almost all of those ones that get published in 2024 are at the end of 2024, not the beginning. So this will be 2025's work that we'll be looking forward to. So just to go through B30.2, it's the overhead. And I always, thanks for that, Fred. So, it's important to point this one out. So the things that have happened so far when they updated, they included the definitions, the P30.1, that's all the lift planning, the operator responsibility, signal person, and all that sort of stuff. They have added the responsibilities for signal person and that sort of thing, but they have not added qualifications yet. So that's still to come. So the next schedule update on this one is 2027. So this is one of those that's a little bit outside of the normal cycle. It's already printed, ready to go. So those are what we should be writing the questions to, is the 2022 version. ASME B30.3 is scheduled to come out next year. And here's all the things that are pending. So a lot of people have asked me, why did ASME all of a sudden remove all the rope stuff from all the different standards? The reason they did that is because they wanted to standardize that. So they created B30.30 and moved all the rope stuff over to B30.30, which was great until we realized that there's some stuff that's unique to each standard. So then some of the standards have put back in some of the rope stuff, but anything that's standardized is now under B30.30. So if you are on a committee and you have anything to do with wire rope, B30.30 has to be referenced. It's not even a question anymore, because all your core stuff is sitting in B30.30 now. You won't find it in any B30.5 or other standards as it go forward. You can see here in B30.3, they also went over operator responsibilities. They've added those. Electrical hazards, so they aligned some of the hazards and stuff along with OSHA. Multiple line operation is new. How to do a multiple line pick, not just a multiple crane pick, but a multiple line pick, and that sort of stuff. So those are all the items that are coming up in 2024 that have been released at this point. B30.5. B30.5 is the redheaded stepchild of ASME. It's where everything kind of starts and everything gets debated and everything gets argued and then finally gets adopted, and then the other groups kind of take it and move from there. So you can see here the pending stuff is already things like the B30.30 reference and that sort of thing. Lift planning as well. But you can also see that signal person responsibilities and lift director qualifications. So this is now coming out in the ASME standard. I will also say that under the ASME B30.5, they will state in there, it's already been passed, that the qualification for a crane operator can only go for 5 years, and then they have to requalify. That's a new statement in there. So even for general industry, for things like, hey, we're in the manufacturing, we don't need to worry about that. We can have it happen once. That's not the case anymore. I will tell you that one of the things that's been assigned to 3 different subcommittee sub-chairman, is that we've been assigned the three different sections. So you have manufacturing, inspection, and operation. Those are the three sections, right? So those have all been assigned to review OSHA and find out where we're compliant with OSHA, where we're not compliant with OSHA, and we want to bring ASME up to at least OSHA's level and then go from there. And so that's really the focus of B30.5. That will not make it into the 2024 standard, but that is what is just starting now and will be in the 2027 standard. So you can expect to see, we went through like section 2 already, all the inspections, and there's a lot of difference between ASME and between OSHA, and that now will kind of start to look a lot more similar as we go forward. Once that happens, you can kind of see that starting to roll through other committees and other places. So look at OSHA for your consistency, but long term, we all need to move eventually to ASME, because if we're continuing to quote OSHA on questions and things, again, that only upgrades once every generation. ASME will be continuing to move forward every 3 to 5 years. B30.20, so this is below the hook lifting devices. They aligned B30.2 and B30.20, aligning all this stuff. They created a non-mandatory appendix related to markings, and they've dealt with load testing of lifters and all that stuff. Again, this is something that comes out in 2024, below the hook lifting devices. They added some scope in this. They added some diagrams of one of them was, we have like containers that you lift, right? And they said a container that's being lifted is a below the hook lifting device. And so that some of you have like sites where they lift like concrete, like you have these little square pads things so that they dump extra concrete in at the end and you lift that out. Those are now containers of things. So my argument was, does that mean that when we lift the porta potty, that's a container? Does it have to be rated and engineered and all that sort of stuff? They determined that wasn't the case, but anything else that was a load needed to have that. So those are things to keep in mind. B30.22, articulating boom cranes. So this is the one that had been held for a long time. Since 2019, it was supposed to be released, and it's taken 4 years to do that, again, through the appeal process. If you go back to 2019, we were adding signal person responsibilities, and we were adding power line standards, right? So now in the new articulating crane, you'll see that there's the 20-foot rule. It's no longer the 10-foot rule. It's a 20-foot rule if you don't know the power. You'll see a lot of things that align with OSHA related to power lines. But that's really where we were at in 2019, and they haven't really got to develop anything beyond that. But there are those big updates that we'll need. 2028 is when this one gets updated again. There'll be a lot of changes that they'll be adding just to get caught up with everyone else. But power lines is going to be the main one. Okay, B30.30. So this is the ropes. This is where everything kind of gets thrown in. And you can see that from this list, they've added definitions. So like diameter, right? I thought diameter used to be an easy definition. But with wire rope, we have diameter measured, diameter nominal, diameter reference. We have a few different things. And so there's also, it's not going to be the standard stuff anymore. There used to be a diameter reduction table. That table is changing in B30.30. And so it's different. It's not, we used to have, like if you doubled over something, it was half. And now that's not the case. So there are a lot of areas where the D-to-D table changes are happening, and it's different in wire versus synthetic. And so there's a lot of adjustments there. So these are when this has come out in 2019, in 2024, all of these changes will come through. So this will be a standard that you'll want to get and that you want to make sure is up to date. Again, every single crane with wire rope will have to also comply with B30.30. So it's really important to keep that information up to date. With that, I tried to get through it pretty quick. That was the pressure wash version of the ASME standard. But is there any questions related to ASME that I can help answer at this point? Oh, yeah, got one in the back.
So talking about the alignment of the B30.30 ropes, is that going to be in alignment with the OSHA subpart CC as far as the criteria for removal of wire rope?
No, it's going to be more stringent. Not for the criteria for removal, but some of the D to D ratios and some of the other things are more stringent.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So that's where the changes will be.
Thank you very much, Thom. Please, round of applause for Thom.